liberty and justice for all.
Joe, Dale,
Here.
yes, Larry, here, Marlene, Jackie, everybody's present. Any additions or corrections to the agenda? If not, need a motion to approve it.
I'll make that motion.
Joe's made a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Arnie seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Any corrections to last month's minute meeting? Not looking for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Arnie made a motion, Larry seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Treasurer's report, Ronnie?
All right, at our last meeting, we had $252,538.25. Dividend on the checking account was $58.11. Last meeting, the checks totaled $19,649.94. We've had electronic transfers last month that totaled $168.75. And we had a deposit for the May settlement of $201,604.36 for a balance in the checking tonight of $434,382.03. Reconciliation with the magnified checking account, the bank statement balance shows $454,031.97, less the checks that haven't cleared of $19,649.94 for a balance in the reconciliation of $434,382.03. Our money market account started the month at $55,545.09. We've earned interest of $40.10 for a balance tonight of $55,585.19. Our share account remains at $36.09. Total monies in the township tonight are $490,003.31.
Questions on the treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second that.
Larry's made a motion, Dale seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Motion carried.
Joe, did you get your time in this one?
I did not.
No.
I didn't have time to do my time. No, we already had to do my time. I just stay in the township.
It's okay. Take it all the way around, something?
I did.
Good. Is that 7 foot, 8 foot?
9.
9 foot, okay. You job pretty good there.
Yep, 9'2". Yep. All good, except for one little spot, I guess. I just got to tangle up with some old fence, rock and stuff.
I went and looked at where she was kind of upset that you were cutting there.
Oh, yeah, and that too, I guess.
That's, that wasn't even, I looked at it, I don't know what she was complaining about.
Who's that?
Well, she doesn't think you need to be cutting at all.
Oh,
At all.
Annette,
She doesn't want me cutting.
No, nothing,
Annette Coleman on that.
no,
No, oh,
Kelly. It's,
really?
Really?
Yeah, she didn't believe I needed that belonged in Ward Springs at all. Like, there are no roads in
Oh,
this area need to be mowed, period. It's 30 mile an hour, and she's kept repeating, it's 30 mile an hour road, there's no reason to cut it.
well,
And,
I guess she's entitled to her opinion.
yeah, I guess, I understand, but I guess I think it looks cleaner.
oh,
Or, and it kind of, in a sense, there's no difference of homeowners, why do they mow their road ditch? I mean, I mow my road ditch because it cleans up your property.
Mhm.
I don't know, but she's thinking that we're taking away wildlife habitat.
Would take
And that's why you have to wait till a certain time to mow.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Well, we're preserving wildlife by mowing, so it's easier to see
Yeah,
deer
yeah.
when they're stepping on the road, we have fewer accidents.
But you can mow now up to 10 feet or something from the road right away, or from the edge of the road. That gets to the first office or something like that.
August 15th after that.
August 15th? Okay.
Good, I will. Did Todd County do that, barricade, they fix that?
I called it barricade, and now I thought that that's what it was, but it turns out we're thinking it's actually an extension on culvert,
On culverts and help us.
and I can correct that in details.
There'll be more coming through like that over the course of the next month.
Oh, okay, from Public Works, just directly,
Yeah,
county?
so because MVC gets them from there, and they have, we have a tax ID number there, they don't have to charge us tax, so we can just buy them. Basically, they pick them up and
I
they
see.
have county invoices us.
Okay, that's what it is then.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's only one, they can't, this 72-inch they can't get from Public Works, so they'll bill us for that separate.
Okay,
That's why we fill out a tax exempt. from
okay, got it.
So we're getting these bills, we put them in one account towards this project so that we know where this all went.
You're talking LCAP?
Correct.
Yes, we have a code that we're putting them under, so although it's road and bridge, we'll be able to separate them out at the end of the year and say, this is what we have spent specifically on that project.
Okay.
And we've gone back in 24 and 25 and made that adjustment so that we can look back in time as well. And then I was telling Jackie that we received some assessment money. Some people had chose to have the Amberlin Trail put on their taxes. So we've received one payment of that. So what I've done, what Jackie will do is, it comes in as road and bridge and we can't change that. So we added a program code called Amberlin Trail so that I can pull it out and say, this is how much money we've received back from them.
Good to track that.
Yeah.
That's that settlement money that we got. That was
And we
part
did
of
the
it.
same thing with Amberlin Trail as far as disbursements. We created a code specific for that road project, so we can pull it out and say, this is exactly what was spent.
This last week, I almost bought that. I thought I signed, and it's here, like a white paper. I thought I signed very well. Yesterday.
Looking for a motion to approve the bill.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Joe made the motion, Dale seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. President comment?
Okay, Toby, that's you.
Well, I am looking to start a salvage license. I've just always kind of messed around with pickups and stuff and always kind of sold parts on the side. And I'm looking to just kind of move to doing that full time, so doing it legit, I need a salvage license to do that. So I've got 30-ish pickups I'm looking to kind of part out and whatnot before I go ahead and do that. So,
Where's that gonna be located at?
at our house, there's a shop,
Where's that at?
Alcott Drive, or
Cedar Lake
Cedar Lake
Road.
Road.
Oh, City Road.
Yep.
On what side?
Be the south side. You know, or, like Gary Summerman's. So I am that, or you know where, Bob Wall used to live?
Yeah.
Yep, that's where we live now, so. Yep, so they got that, when we bought, there was a machine shed and stuff up on top of the hill there, so I finished all that and turned that into a shop and running out of that. And got a big lot up there.
Does that require a state license then?
I believe it will, yes. Actually, no, honestly, I don't know. I believe it did, but I had to go through and do this first with the county. Yep.
Will you be selling the parts like online or
Mainly,
coming and going?
yeah, mainly, probably half and half online and people actually come in buying parts.
I don't know the area, is that a good location?
It's got a nice, I mean, it's up on a hill, like you said, it's nice and dry, gravelly. Remember a couple of years ago, we had a ditch, snowmobile trail goes right through there, there's that ditch that dropped off real steep on the, Round Prairie side that we fixed.
Okay.
He's right across the road from that, so there. Yeah, no, I think it's a decent spot. I mean, that end of the road gets more traffic. Like in front of Summerman's, there's usually some washboards later in the season or before we get dust control, but I mean, it's probably 6 of one or half of the other, how people will get to your place, so.
Right.
You might see a little more traffic through there, but the rest of the whole road seems to be holding pretty well.
So basically, this is their first step before you go to the county, as this process, to keep that
Right.
stuff at the township first.
Toby he doesn't have his form for you to sign. So if the board makes a motion to support it, then I'll let Adam know, I'll send him an email tonight, because he needs to know by tomorrow. They're getting them ready for the planning and zoning meeting, probably in July, is my guess. They'll get them on the agenda, but they need that from us for approval, and I think I can just do an email to Adam in lieu of the form.
Okay.
If you support it. Okay. Do you guys have the, address?
24935 Cedar Road.
Got it.
Any other questions, concerns from the board on this?
You live there now? Okay, good.
Do you talk to your neighbors about it?
The only neighbor we have, we haven't even talked to them at all.
And they're on the other side of.
They'd be on the west side of us, yeah, they just built that place there 2 years ago or something like that.
Is that where Harry Cox used to live? No, that's probably quite a while ago.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it to just sell that 80 acres? That would be,
Behind us.
Yeah, it's behind us.
Yep. That was Bouchard and then
Yeah.
had, yeah, no, we haven't talked to them. I know Gary real well.
Yeah.
Gary doesn't really care about that, and
Gary's got more porch than you do, probably.
I know, I pulled enough stuff out of this place that I bought from him, so. And then, like on the other side of us, Stephanie Austin, she's got that place there, and, we know them real well.
Not that it really matters, just, sometimes neighbors like, it makes it easier
Right.
to chat with them before showing up to the meeting.
Yep,
And then learning they have a concern about it.
right, yep.
With that said, I'm looking for a motion to, to give the board's approval that we have no problems with it.
I'll make that motion.
Arnie's made that motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Joe has seconded that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carried.
Good luck.
All right.
Thank you.
So I'll email him tonight and let him know. I'll give him the motion and the action, so
Okay.
Adam knows.
Yeah, I'll be over there tomorrow too, so.
Okay, sounds good.
Perfect. If you wish to stay the rest of the meeting, you can, if you don't have to.
Okay,
You're aware.
sounds good, that'll work. Well,
If you leave early, you get $5.
Send the bill.
Starting off with our township road report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Item number 8, update, Joe?
Yeah, so I don't know if any of you been down at Alcott,
Couple times.
been quite a bit, I don't know if there have been any calls, but there's been quite a bit of work, as you can see. quite a few updates since last month, actually. So as we were just discussing a minute ago, there's a bill for culvert ends. So they started, they started with assessing the culvert by Pedligos. Then they did the ditching through there. So they got the ends, the aprons for first. That's why we saw it now versus the rest of them coming later. But they dug out the problem area. So if you remember, it was about 1,300 feet of problem area. And out of there, they took 75 loads of black dirt through those 1,300 feet. And 20 loads of debris, which included steps, rocks, buildings, roofs, asphalt, shingles, a barn, part of a house, all buried in the roadway. So it would explain why we were seeing what we were seeing. They decided to, they felt adequate with what they took. They said we could have kept digging to bring out black dirt, more of it, but he said there's not a lot of gain. It was real sandy, but black. But with the tile there, it's going to drain adequately, and it was to the edges of the road anyway. So just to remove it into the ditch didn't really matter that much at that point. But just to put in perspective, if you've driven by there on 215th that goes north, there was a pile. They took half of it away. The other half of it still sits there. It was 900 yards of black dirt. So explains why we were having the problems we were having there. They dug it was a little over, initially it was a little over 300 feet on the south end, that south curve, that was the problem area. Turns out they dug that out, didn't find anything except a pile of rocks in the middle of the road, which normally would help with drainage, but it and some tree roots that were there had crushed the one tile that they found that was in there, which we knew was there. Incidentally, I talked to Dave Garrett's about it, because it turns out he's the one who put it in 25 years ago. He remembered putting it in, but he didn't remember why or what it did, other than it drained water. So they cleaned it out and replaced the parts that were crushed and full of tree roots with another 4-inch perforated. And then they laid their dual wall 6-inch down the middle anyway next to it. So they're both still draining. If you looked or saw where those tile are draining into the culverts, they're actually draining even before all the rain that we got. So they're working, which is good. So all that to say, they put the tile in, they put P-rock around it, put fabric across it, and they've got class 5. The road's set up actually really, really nice. Howard said that, you know, as you can imagine, with all of the truck traffic going over it, hauling 75 loads, they beat it up quite a bit. He said it packed really nice and it didn't squish out at all after they got all that black dirt out of there. So I think it really turned out nice. I think we should be happy with it, given what we found that was there, and that it's not there anymore, and the tile is already working. Aside from that, thanks to Larry's project management, we were able to sync up with Deja and meet out there one morning a couple weeks ago. Got the paperwork signed, got everything, all the cost share approved for all the culverts. And the day after we got it signed, she took it to the county to get approval, and the following Monday, NBC then did the first culvert, which were those aprons there, right by the T, where it turns north by Pedligos, if you know where that is. So that one's done. They started this week mulching out all of the others, at which point they're going to put in the extensions, the aprons, the riprap, or the fabric, and then the riprap on all the other outlets. They're expecting to be done with the prep by the end of this week, and the next week do the remaining steps, which would be the aprons and the dirt that has to be hauled in, the riprap and so forth. Let's see. There's one culvert on 215th, right by Lee Boyd's. I talked to Arnie about this. So if you look at the way the creek runs from that house that you and I looked at, Jim, water drains down the ditch in front of Lee's, and then it goes to another creek that's there, and that runs under 215th, 215th, I believe. And then it doubles back and goes underneath Alcott and then into Sauk Lake. So there's a 48-inch culvert that goes underneath Alcott, which is the one they've set, and that's the one that I talked last month that was washing out. So they've set that, got the aprons, got the riprap. But that one on 215th, They asked if we want to put aprons and riprap on it to kind of shore up because it had started eroding around it as water backed up or as a large influx went in. I said I'd bring it up at the meeting. I talked to Arnie about it. He was in agreement. I'm in agreement that we should do it. I think it would shore up the issue and it would look nice by having all of them done the same way. I did reach out to Deja and asked her if we could amend our cost share to include it. I've not heard back. If I remember correctly from last year when we met about it, she said it only covered outlets that go directly into the lake, that if it's on the culvert is the last step before it goes to drainage into the lake, they will cover it. If it's upstream from that, they would not. I don't know, Larry, if that's what you recall.
Yeah.
I thought it was worth asking, just for the sake of asking, if we could get cost share for it, but all that to say, I guess I would like to recommend that we also take care of that culvert at the same time. The culvert itself is fine, it's just the aprons, fabric, and riprap to stabilize the shoulders.
And they're still working on different ones right now, so they're there.
They're there, it's just a matter of, if we give them the go-ahead, they'll pick up the aprons, and then they'll just make another 2 trips with the granite, and, or 3-4 trips actually.
So that's on 215, the culverts that, they don't drain directly into the lake.
No, it drains into the ditch on the other side, or into the creek on the other side, but then drains into the culvert that we replaced on. Well, we didn't replace the culvert, excuse me, we reset it and put aprons on it.
So it drains into,
It's a creek that it drains through. So, not sure if we want a motion for that or just consensus, but wanted to bring that up, and I could table it till I'm done with the other updates.
I'm gonna be meeting with Dave tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, let me give you the correct road name just to be sure. It's 213.
13.
It's right here, Larry. See, this creek comes here.
Yeah.
And it goes under 213th here, and then Dog Lake's here, and then it goes underneath Alcott there. So it's right here.
Quite a bit of water goes through that.
It does.
We need to do that by motion? I suppose so.
Yeah, probably.
Want to make a motion on do this culvert?
I'll make that motion.
He's made a motion, second.
I'll second it.
Dale, second, all in favor?
Hey,
Aye. Opposed?
She should know where it is.
Yeah. Well, I told her over voicemail where it was, and left the message for her.
It's quite a short distance, to correct.
It's real short.
It's maybe 100 feet.
If that.
They don't have to be connected.
Yeah.
Quick them all
Quick
out.
question, Joe, on a project like this, like all that black dirt that came out, is that going to a pit somewhere, or what happened with that?
So, the black, like I said, right now, the pit, or all of the dirt is in Howard's, or half of the dirt is in Howard's daughter's yard. Just down from where that, on 213th, where that culvert is. So you can see it there. The rest of it went to their pit. And then the 20 loads of debris, house, asphalt, shingles, and all that, that went to their pit. The crushed asphalt went to another pit to be crushed again, and to be reused. Any other questions before I maybe move on to the next part? So the next part would be the north end. I just met with Howard and Bart today about it. This is by Ricky Tavis. So they're going to be starting on that on, well, Friday actually. Depends on how much rain we get tomorrow and Thursday. Not Friday, then Monday. Their goal is to have all of these aprons and everything done by the end of next week is the point. At Ricky Tavis, what we met, if you remember right, Dale, last fall, a couple times with them out there. Everything about that final decision from mid-October last year, the bid was from September 24th. Nothing about it has changed as far as the culvert. So it is a 36-inch culvert going underneath the road, roughly a 40-foot length. We are putting an apron on the lake side. It is draining into a catch basin that will be lined with fabric and riprap. That will then fall into another catch basin and potentially a third catch basin lined with riprap before it drains into a 24-inch culvert with private landowner owns downstream that's currently there and maintained by them. So they're gonna replace the culvert, they're gonna upsize it, because right now it's 24-inch, we're going to 36-inch. Excuse me, it's 18-inch, and we're going to 36-inch. On the opposite side, we're gonna be putting an elbow that comes up and a catch basin on the top, so the surface water that runs from Ron Schmitz's yard goes into the catch basin. And if you remember right, all of the ditches that we cleaned out last fall through Ricky Pavitt's and Ron Schmitz's, they cleaned out, but even today, just with the rain that we've had, Howard and I were looking at it, it's already the culverts, the 12-inch culverts under Ricky's driveways are starting to back up again. So we had talked last meeting about burying a pipe, which is what we talked about last fall, and that was the engineer's recommendation, burying about a 300-foot pipe from Ricky Pavitt's west driveway all the way into that elbow. Be an 18-inch dual wall culvert that'll have in 2 spots a T coming up with a catch basin to catch the surface water. They'll cover it and they'll put a little swale in a ditch, so the surface water will run through it on top of the culvert into the catch basins, and below grade and all of the water from Fredericks's will go into the culvert and go down into the pipe, I should say, through the ditches down to the culvert and then underneath the road and on the other side of the lane. That's the plan, and that's consistent with what we ultimately decided in October and with what the engineer recommended with his proposal in November.
So, just to kind of refresh my mind, you say they were gonna have 2 intakes, one on each side, or where the 2 approaches, they'd be on the west side of both of them, right?
So there would be one culvert opening with an apron on the west side of Ricky's west approach.
Okay.
So from that moment, you'll have the approach, and then we'll drop back into a ditch again. From there to his next approach, the culvert will be buried, and they'll bring dirt in to fill it and put black dirt on top of it and seed it in lawn. And that culvert will have a T that comes up, and there'll be a little catch basin in the lawn. So it'll be a smooth little swale, enough to catch snow or plow snow. But when it melts, it'll drain into that little catch basin, go down into the 18-inch dual wall, and it'll go under his second approach. And on the other side of that, to the east side of his second approach, there'll be then there'll be buried culvert, and then there'll be that 36-inch catch basin on surface level.
Okay. So was there anything gonna get done with Schmidt's reshaping there?
So his ditch and Ricky Pavitt's ditches are gonna be reshaped because the culvert was buried in it.